Despite the incidents of 1967, 1968 and 1970, some of the leaders still did not learn. The devotees whom Srila Prabhupada trusted the governance of the movement with, the GBCs, those very devotees were plotting to oust Srila Prabhupada. With this kind of offensive mentality percolating the leadership of ISKCON against a pure devotee and spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, to know that the GBC itself, Srila Prabhupada smashed the whole conspiracy by suspending the entire. I could not believe what I just said. To think all the GBCs are 100%. Hare Krishna, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Welcome back to the 4th episode of Concatenation of Crises in ISKCON, which is the first chapter of the ISKCON Files series. In the last episode, we have seen what havoc was created in ISKCON because of some of the leaders in ISKCON harboring the offensive mentality that Srila Prabhupada is an ordinary person and disobeying his instructions. Despite the incidents of 1967, 1968 and 1970 garnering much attention of the devotees, some of the leaders still did not learn. They still nurtured the ambition to overthrow Srila Prabhupada and take control of ISKCON to become its Diksha Guru and Acharya. Such an attempt was mounted once again in 1972. By whom this time? This time by some of the GBC members themselves. Can you imagine that? The devotees whom Srila Prabhupada trusted the governance of the movement with, the GBCs, those very devotees were plotting to oust Srila Prabhupada and usurp control over the movement. To start with, we should know how the highly offensive attitude that Srila Prabhupada was an ordinary man, that he was an old man, and that the disciples were far more intelligent than him, and they knew better how to run the organization, was still running in the minds of some of the leaders in ISKCON. This is vividly demonstrated by an incident described by Guru Kripa Prabhu. The background of this incident goes something like this. Anyone who visits the ISKCON Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan can observe that there is a plaque on the wall inside the temple. This marble plaque mentions the names of some important contributors to building the Krishna Balaram temple. At the top of the list is Guru Kripa Swami and Yashodanandan Swami, who together contributed rupees 27 lakhs. This is in 1975-76. Next on the list is BBT with about rupees 8 lakhs. Surprisingly, two individual sannyasis in ISKCON contributed more than the entire BBT, nearly 3 times more than the BBT, while the BBT was the cash-rich part of ISKCON on those days. Majority of the funds in ISKCON was raised by book distribution during those days. And Srila Prabhupada had made it a rule that 50% of the BBT funds would be used for printing books and balance 50% would be used for building temples. Srila Prabhupada had acquired lands in Juhu, Vrindavan, Mayapur, and a lot of funds were required to build these projects by 1972. And Srila Prabhupada was looking forward to source the funds from the book distribution income in the US. What was the response of Prabhupada's disciples to his request for money? Guru Kripa Prabhu's recollection brings out their outrageous response in this undated memory titled Guru Kripa Speaks on ISKCON History, available on the www.krishna.org website. Once in Mayapur, Kirtanananda came to me and said, "Why are you giving all that money to Prabhupada? You should give it to me. In America, we are protected. The communists one day will come and take these buildings away. Prabhupada is making a big mistake." I was shocked by what I just heard. At that time, Kirtanananda was considered by Satswarupa to be the greatest of the great and the most divine of the divine. My answer was, I do not care what he does with the money. He, meaning Prabhupada, can flush it down the toilet for all I care. I just love to give it to him. It's a matter of the heart. Srila Prabhupada, he told me once in his room in Vrindavan, he said, "My Guru ordered me to go to the West and I did that. My main service was to translate these books, and I did that. I have a personal desire to build these temples in India. That is my personal program. But they, meaning Prabhupada's disciples, they will not give me money, and my head is getting hot. I have to translate these books, write many letters, and I am thinking how to raise the money to build these temples because my disciples have their own programs and will not give me money. So, seeing Srila Prabhupada like this, I told him that from today forth, you just translate the books peacefully and I will take the headache and go and get the money. When I walked out of the room, I could not believe what I just said. So, to think all the GBCs are 100% surrendered souls and the Gurus are 100% surrendered souls with no self-interest and their only interest is to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission, they did not even care during his time. So you can see clearly from Guru Kripa Prabhu's memory that for the leaders in ISKCON, following Guru's order, Srila Prabhupada's orders was not inviolable. For them, their agendas and their projects were more important. In their minds, Prabhupada was prone to make mistakes like an ordinary mortal. No wonder this offensive mood throttled the fund flow for Prabhupada's personal projects to build the temples in India. No wonder the two sannyasis could contribute 3 times what the mighty BBT could for Vrindavan Krishna Balaram temple. With this kind of offensive mentality percolating the leadership of ISKCON against a pure devotee and spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, you won't be surprised to know that the GBC itself became victim to this offensive mood. And some of the GBC members wanted to usurp ISKCON. This is what forced the Srila Prabhupada to suspend the GBC in 1972. Tamal Krishna Goswami describes this in the Perils of Succession. In March 1972, without consulting Prabhupada, 8 of the 12 GBC members held a meeting in New York to centralize ISKCON's management. The plan was to centralize control in the hands of each zonal secretary by giving the GBC member complete control over the temple's finances. All funds collected were to be sent to a head office, which would then allot expenditures to each temple. In a memo, Srila Prabhupada issued to all temple presidents, Prabhupada referred to the big minutes of the meeting in which they had inducted one of his disciples, the chartered accountant Atreya Rishi Das, both as a new member and as secretary. The meeting had empowered a management committee of 2 to act without Prabhupada's permission and without divulging to the devotees. This attempt at autonomy has upset my brain, Prabhupada wrote to his temple presidents. He spelled out his alarm in capitals. I authorize you to disregard for the time being any decision from the GBC men until my further instruction. Seeking to establish a direct link with each temple president, he urged that they manage their temple's affairs peacefully and independently and inform him of the names of all their assistants. Finally, he repeated, all GBC orders are suspended herewith by me until further notice. So, you see what happened in 1972? In a further letter to Hansadutta Prabhu, one of the illegitimate meetings organizers, Prabhupada pointed out how it was unconstitutional. The 7 members in attendance may have constituted a quorum, but the meeting had been convened without a general announcement to all 12 GBC members. Prabhupada expressed surprise that none of the other GBC members had detected this defect in the procedure. What will happen when I am not here? Shall everything be spoiled by GBC? This was Prabhupada's words. So this conspiracy to overthrow Prabhupada and take control of ISKCON by controlling all of its funds and centralizing it was masterminded by Hansadutta Prabhu. By controlling which temple gets how much funds, he and the other GBC members could dictate what they wanted to the temple presidents, and the temple presidents would have no choice but to follow. Any temple president could simply be brought to his knees by choking the fund requirement for the temple. Thus, they could become the dictators of ISKCON. But Srila Prabhupada would have none of it. And Srila Prabhupada smashed the whole conspiracy by suspending the entire GBC. Because Hansadutta Prabhu and the other GBC men were deriving their power to orchestrate this hijack on the power of the GBC body. So, Srila Prabhupada snatched away the power and dealt a death blow to the conspiracy. Srila Prabhupada wrote several letters on this matter. One of the letters he wrote was to Rupanuga Prabhu in April of 1972. Srila Prabhupada wrote, "I am in due receipt of your letter dated March 13, 1972, and the contents have greatly surprised me. I had no intimation that you all GBC members have met and decided such big issues without consulting me. So I have issued one letter in this regard to all of you, and you may take note that I consider that both the meeting and the resolution is irregular, and immediately there should be no change. Again, I am so much burdened by this administrative work that I feel great difficulty. I was very anxious to return to my Los Angeles home to sit down for translating work. But if you all, my right-hand men, are doing things without consulting me and making such big changes within our society without getting my opinion and the opinion of all the GBC members, then what can I do? I am so much perplexed why you all had done this. I have appointed originally 12 GBC members, and I have given them 12 zones for their administration and management. But simply by agreement, you have changed everything. So what is this? I don't know. You mentioned that you are taking great help from Atreya Rishi. But Atreya Rishi is not a member of GBC, nor has he any position in my scheme to manage the whole society. And I am wondering, what is Hansaduta's idea to leave Germany and take larger position of power in the United States? Look at Prabhupada's words. What is the idea of Hansaduta to leave Germany and take larger position of power in the United States? I have just sent him one letter wherein I have told him to remain permanently in Germany and the German language countries. This is his best field, and I do not think that we shall change any of our managers throughout the world except as I shall direct. So, in this letter, Srila Prabhupada directly alludes to Hansaduta Prabhu's usurping larger position of power in the United States. Prabhupada had seen through the whole game plan. He responded by suspending the entire GBC. Prabhupada wrote this memo directly to all the temple presidents on 8th of April 1972. Memo to all ISKCON temple presidents. Please accept my blessings. I beg to inform you that recently some of the governing commission members held a meeting at New York on 25th through 28th March 1972, and they have sent me a big minutes duplicated for my consideration and approval, but in the meantime, they've decided some appointments without consulting me. One of the items which struck me very much is as follows. Atreya Rishidas was selected to be the secretary for GBC and receive all correspondence including monthly reports. I never appointed Atreya Rishi member of the GBC, and I do not know how he can be appointed secretary to GBC without my sanction. He was also appointed to be on the management committee with Karan Dara for the purpose of supervising ISKCON business and implementing the decisions reached by GBC. This has very much disturbed me. Shriman Atreya Rishi Das may be very expert, but without my say, he has been given so much power, and this has upset my brain. I also understand that immediate actions are going to take place even prior to my permission, and that also without divulging to the devotees. I do not follow exactly what is the motive of the so-called GBC meeting. Therefore, I have sent the telegram which you will find attached herewith, and I have received the replies as well. Under these circumstances, I authorize you to disregard for the time being any decision from the GBC men until my further instruction. You manage your affairs peacefully and independently and try to improve the spiritual atmosphere of the centers more carefully. I shall be very glad to know the names of your assistants such as secretary, treasurer and accountant. Finally, I beg to repeat that all GBC orders are suspended herewith by me until further notice. You may reply me at ISKCON Tokyo, hoping these meets you in very good health and advanced spiritual mood. That was Prabhupada's letter. By suspending the GBC and sending Hansaduta Prabhu back to Germany, Srila Prabhupada brought back a semblance of normalcy in ISKCON. Once again, Srila Prabhupada's astuteness proved to be overwhelming for the tiny, foolish intelligence of the conditioned disciples. They offensively thought that they were more intelligent than Prabhupada. But it was the other way around. And Srila Prabhupada proved it time and again. At least now, would they learn that Srila Prabhupada was not an ordinary man and that to disobey his instructions would only pave their way to hell? No, they wouldn't. As we will see in our next episode of Concatenation of Crises in ISKCON, which is the first chapter in the ISKCON Files series. Until then, Hare Krishna, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.